Welcome to the deep dive. This time you've sent over some really interesting stuff on Elon Musk from his appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Right.
Episode number 2223.
Yeah, a lot of people listen to that one.
Yeah, and we're going to unpack his thoughts on a whole bunch of things.
Okay.
Everything from video games
Darn.
to social media, government overreach, and we'll even touch on psychedelics a little bit.
Sounds like Elon.
Yeah, so
Well, he covers a lot of ground in that interview, for sure.
yeah, and he's never been one to
Hold back.
hold back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into something that I found particularly interesting.
Okay.
His take on video games and their potential to boost brain power.
Oh, wow.
That's not exactly the image that comes to mind when you think about hardcore gamers, right?
Yeah, you think couch potato,
Yeah.
Doritos, and Mountain Dew.
Exactly.
But what Elon points out is that playing at higher difficulty levels can actually demand a level of focus and strategic thinking
Yeah.
that can translate to real-world skills. He even suggests that it could make surgeons more effective in the operating room.
Okay, now hold on. I need to hear more about this surgeon thing.
Okay.
Are we talking about better hand-eye coordination or...
It's more about the cognitive benefits.
Okay.
There are studies showing that a course designed to mimic the skills honed in video games can improve a surgeon's performance by a significant margin.
Wow.
We're talking 26% better.
That's incredible.
Like a mental workout that builds the same kind of focus and adaptability
Okay.
needed in those high-pressure situations.
So next time someone tells you to put down the controller,
Right.
you can tell them you're training for brain surgery.
Exactly.
But on a more serious note, Elon also dives into the world of social media and the potential for manipulation and censorship.
This is where the conversation gets really interesting.
Yeah.
He talks about the power these platforms have to control narratives and shape public opinion.
Okay.
And he uses a very pointed example,
Okay.
the deplatforming of a sitting president from Twitter.
Yeah, that was a watershed moment.
Huge.
It raised so many questions about the line between protecting users from harmful content and stifling free speech.
Exactly. And it's a debate that continues to rage today. How do you balance the need for open dialogue with the responsibility to prevent the spread of misinformation and hate speech?
Right.
These platforms have become incredibly powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And the decisions they make have huge consequences.
Yeah. It's a tricky situation with no easy answers.
For sure.
And it gets even more complex when you factor in the potential for government overreach. Elon's own company, SpaceX, has run into its fair share of regulatory hurdles.
It's wild the technology they're developing for space travel is subject to the same weapons regulations as, like, actual weapons.
Wow.
They've even had trouble hiring qualified personnel because of these restrictions.
Wow.
And then there's the whole Department of Justice lawsuit they're facing,
Right.
which Elon sees as a direct attack on his company.
It makes you think about the potential for bureaucracy to stifle innovation.
Yeah.
Is the government inadvertently holding us back from progress by trying to control every aspect of technological development?
It's a valid question.
Yeah.
And one that Elon clearly feels strongly about.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and dive into something a little more mind-bending.
All right.
Elon gets into some pretty fascinating territory
Yeah.
when he discusses the potential of psychedelics, specifically psilocybin therapy.
He is a big proponent of exploring their potential therapeutic benefits for mental health conditions and even addiction.
And what's interesting is that there's a growing body of scientific research to support his claims.
Oh, wow.
Studies are showing promising results for using psilocybin to treat conditions like depression and anxiety.
Interesting.
Of course, more research is needed, but it's definitely an area worth paying attention to.
On the flip side,
Right.
Elon also talks about the dangers of legal drugs like Adderall and the toll they can take on people, especially those who abuse them.
He paints a pretty stark picture of the negative consequences,
Yeah.
which serves as a good reminder that even substances that are widely prescribed
Right.
can have a dark side if they're not used responsibly.
It's a great point, and it highlights the need for a more nuanced and informed conversation.
For sure.
About drug use, both legal and illegal.
Yeah.
But before we get too deep into that rabbit hole,
Okay.
I think it's time we tackle the elephant in the room, politics.
All right.
Elon doesn't hold back when it comes to discussing some of the most hot-button issues of our time.
He really doesn't. He touches on illegal immigration,
Yeah.
the influence of swing states in elections, and even allegations of election manipulation.
Wow.
It's clear that he's concerned about the direction the country is heading in,
Okay.
and he doesn't shy away from expressing those concerns, even if they're controversial.
And it's these controversial topics that often generate the most heated debates.
Oh, yeah.
He raises some particularly pointed concerns about how demographic shifts are impacting elections and the potential for a one-party system to emerge.
His perspective has definitely sparked a lot of discussion and disagreement.
Yeah.
But regardless of where you stand on these issues, it's important to understand the different viewpoints at play
I agree.
and to engage in these conversations thoughtfully and respectfully.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the rhetoric and emotions surrounding these topics, for sure. But it's crucial to remember that we're all trying to navigate a complex and ever-changing world.
It is complex.
And open dialogue is essential for finding common ground and working towards solutions.
Absolutely.
All right.
It's fascinating how Elon can so seamlessly
Yeah.
transition from talking about rocket science to the intricacies of the human mind and the future of civilization.
He has this incredible ability to connect seemingly disparate ideas and make you think about things in a whole new way.
Totally.
And speaking of the future, one of the things that really struck me was his discussion about the role of AI and automation in shaping the world we're heading towards.
It's a topic that's both exciting and a little bit terrifying, isn't it?
Yeah.
On the one hand, we've got these incredibly powerful AI models like Grow, which Elon mentions, that can process vast amounts of information and even generate human-quality text.
It's wild.
It's mind-blowing to think about the potential applications.
It really is. But then there's that nagging question.
Yeah.
What happens to humans when machines can do so much of what we do?
Right.
What happens to our sense of purpose and identity when robots are writing our novels and composing our symphonies?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's one that Elon grapples with, too. He even floats the idea that perhaps everyone will have a personal robot companion in the future, almost like a built-in support system.
A robot buddy. I'm not sure if that's comforting or creepy.
And it's a little bit of both, right?
Yeah, it speaks to the potential for technology to both enhance and complicate our lives.
Absolutely.
But let's not get too lost in the dystopian possibilities.
Okay.
Elon also paints a pretty optimistic vision for the future.
He does.
Especially when he talks about the potential of Starlink to provide global internet access via satellite.
That's a game changer.
Right.
Imagine being able to connect with anyone, anywhere on the planet, no matter how remote.
It's incredible.
It could revolutionize everything from education and healthcare to disaster relief and economic development.
And he's not just talking about it, he's actually making it happen.
Yeah.
He even mentioned texting from a remote location using a new iPhone and a satellite connection during the interview.
It's proof that the future he's envisioning is closer than we might think.
Yeah.
And it's not just Starlink that's pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
Right.
We can't forget about Tesla and all the incredible work they're doing with electric vehicles, self-driving technology, sustainable energy solutions, and even humanoid robots.
He's like a real-life Tony Stark.
I know, right?
But amidst all this talk of robots and space travel, it's important to remember that Elon is also a staunch advocate for human values, particularly freedom of speech and open dialogue.
Absolutely.
He even highlights how Twitter played a pivotal role in the fight for freedom of information.
He sees it as a crucial platform for sharing ideas and holding those in power accountable.
Yeah.
And in an era where information is increasingly manipulated and controlled, that kind of open forum is more important than ever.
Couldn't agree more. And Elon himself is a prime example of someone who's not afraid to speak his mind, even when it's controversial.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
He's constantly challenging the status quo and pushing us to think differently about the world.
He doesn't shy away from tough conversations.
No, he doesn't.
He even touches on the issue of transgender identity and fairness in sports.
Right.
Acknowledging that it's a complex and often contentious issue.
It's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds are still grappling with some of the biggest social and ethical questions of our time.
Absolutely.
But at the end of the day, Elon's core message is one of empowerment and action. He stresses the importance of voting and making our voices heard.
Yeah.
He even compares it to fighting for your life. That's how seriously he takes it.
And it's a powerful message. It reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the future.
For sure.
And that our choices matter, whether it's through voting, engaging in thoughtful discussions, or simply staying informed. We can all make a difference.
Now, before we wrap up this part of our deep dive, there's one more area we need to explore.
All right.
Elon's views on immigration.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Which have sparked quite a bit of controversy.
Definitely.
He seems particularly concerned about the impact of illegal immigration on swing states.
Right.
And the potential for it to lead to a one-party system.
He's quite critical of the Democrats on this issue.
Yeah.
Accusing them of using immigration for political gain.
Interesting.
By deliberately importing undocumented immigrants into swing states to sway elections.
Wow.
He even goes so far as to suggest that they're offering benefits to undocumented immigrants in exchange for their votes.
It's a serious accusation.
It is, and one that has drawn a lot of criticism.
I bet.
But regardless of whether you agree with his views, it's clear that Elon feels very strongly about this issue and believes it has significant implications for the future of the country.
And it's a topic that's bound to continue generating heated debate as we move forward.
Oh, absolutely.
So we've covered some really complex and controversial issues today, from the potential of AI to the challenges of social media and that always heated topic of immigration.
Yeah, we've been all over the map.
But one thing that I think has been a recurring theme throughout this whole conversation is Elon's perspective on the role of government and its impact on innovation.
Yeah, it definitely comes up a lot in the interview.
It does. He sees excessive regulation as a major roadblock to progress, particularly in areas like space exploration and technological development.
Right. He uses SpaceX as a prime example.
Yeah, he paints a pretty vivid picture of how bureaucratic hurdles can slow down even the most groundbreaking projects.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, needing months just to get the paperwork approved for a single rocket launch.
That's crazy.
Because of all the different agencies and regulations involved.
And it's not just space travel. He sees this kind of overregulation as a systemic problem.
Right.
That's holding America back from reaching its full potential in all sorts of industries.
So what's the solution? Does he think we should just dismantle the government entirely?
Well, not entirely, though. He definitely leans towards a more streamlined approach.
Okay.
He actually proposes a pretty radical idea, offering substantial severance packages to government employees who are willing to leave voluntarily.
Wow, that's a bold idea.
Yeah.
What's the logic behind that?
He believes it would be a way to kind of reset the system, clear out some of the bureaucratic deadwood, and create space for fresh perspectives and more agile decision-making. He argues that there are a lot of talented people who are trapped in these institutions.
Right.
And this would give them a chance to maybe pursue more fulfilling work, while at the same time allowing the government to rebuild in a more focused and efficient way.
So it's not that he's against government altogether. It's more that he wants to see it leaner, more agile, encouraging risk-taking and rewarding success rather than getting bogged down in red tape and bureaucracy.
Exactly. And this really ties back to his overall vision for the future.
Okay.
A future where technology empowers individuals and solves some of the world's most pressing challenges.
But he also acknowledges the potential downsides of this rapid technological advancement.
He does. He brings up those big questions we talked about earlier, the impact of AI and automation on jobs.
Yeah.
The potential for these technologies to be misused, and that fundamental question of what it means to be human in a world increasingly shaped by machines.
It's a lot to think about, and while he doesn't claim to have all the answers,
Of course not.
he urges us to be thoughtful and deliberate about the kind of future we're creating. He wants us to make sure that technology is used to enhance human life, not to replace or diminish it.
It's a call to action, really. A reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future.
Absolutely.
Not just through the technologies we create, but also through the choices we make as individuals and as a society.
And that brings us back to his final message, the importance of voting and making your voice heard.
Right. He sees it as our most powerful tool for shaping the world we want to live in.
It's a simple but profound reminder that we're not just passive observers in this grand experiment called human civilization. We're active participants, and we have the power to influence the direction things are heading.
So to our listeners, as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Elon Musk, we encourage you to keep asking those big questions. To stay curious and engaged, and to never underestimate the power of your own